emotionally unavailable.
Okay, it's very nice to meet you. And what I usually do is I kind of like reread your profile before we meet and see where I want to start. This hasn't happened to me in a couple weeks, but I got really excited reading all through your stuff. It's hard for me to like phrase where I want to start. So give me a second because this is not going to come out eloquently at all. I'm really excited to talk about your story and the work you've done on yourself, both physically and emotionally. Something I want to phrase this right. I'm going to go back to your profile really quick because there was one line that I was like, oh shit, that I love that. Uh, why calming the nervous system isn't enough for true healing. And I feel really bad for you because I'm about to trauma dump on you for a second, but
You go,
like
girl. I'm ready.
I'm still
I'm
working on
ready.
how to say things like this. But like in case you didn't see this on my profile, we just lost a child in December
Oh,
to an accidental overdose.
I,
And
oh
so
my gosh, I'm
naturally,
so sorry.
thank you. I'm very dysregulated. And it didn't
Of course you were.
present right away, like, because the
Yeah,
shock and the whatever. Um,
totally.
but I am like I'm so fucking agitated. That's where I'm like, I started to notice it then. I also noticed it because I'm feeling so unsafe and I recognize that feeling really well now. Um, so anyway, I'm telling you that because I do want, girl, I'm gonna get some free therapy from you today about that. But
Yeah.
why that one line really jumped out for me today is because in about 2017, that was the first information that I was really getting about trauma, nervous system regulation, any of that. And it did not fucking make sense to me at all, but I was trying so hard. Like after realizing, oh, okay, I have PTSD, then later realizing it's complex PTSD, all the things. I was so happy. I was relieved because I was like, oh, I'm not just a mean person because I've been a highly reactive individual my entire life. And so I was just so relieved, like, oh, there's an answer. Like, this isn't like I'm fundamentally at my core unlovable. I just need some help. So cool. But all those protective factors really prevented me from seeking help in the right way. So I didn't. And I was just like scouring the internet and it was so new. This talk was.
Yeah.
And so from 2017 to 2024, that's all I knew is, oh, you got to regulate your nervous system. I didn't understand at all. Zero understanding of why I was so dysregulated. I didn't know how it had happened to me. I didn't know I was working on some of those like key things that you would do, but I just didn't understand it. So that's why that one line really, I was like, oh, but so I'm telling you all of that, but I would love to know. I know that you have been diagnosed with MS. And we've been talking a lot lately about the link between our internalized, unprocessed shit and autoimmune diseases and others. So, this is a very well-timed conversation, I think, especially since I'm struggling with my nervous system. But yeah, I kind of want to
Understandably, by the way.
do what?
Understandably.
Yes,
Understandably.
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And I
for
understand this is
sure.
going to be like lifelong. This is now something I'm going to get to manage in terms of my grief isn't going anywhere, whatever. But like, oh, just a little less unsafe and a little less agitated would be so nice because
Hmm.
that's the shit I just got better from, like I've spent
Yeah.
2 years. Thankfully, like seriously, I'm so grateful to myself and all of the things for the work I've put in for the last 2 years, or I wouldn't be making it through this. But it does suck to feel like I'm starting all over because I'm like, damn it, I had just gotten so much less reactive and and now I'm like, don't fucking talk to me all the time. I hate that because I don't like the way I feel.
Totally understand that, girl. I want to say too, when I got the invitation to be on your show, I was super excited because I love everything that you're doing. And I think that your topics, all of your podcast episodes are just so timely. And I just think that there more that we can talk about these subtle, more important, they're subtle, but they're more powerful, in my opinion, in my personal experience, than
Yeah.
like the way we are hearing the nervous system talked about, over talked about in some ways, people who have really no clue how to go about it, which is not bad because like we're all, it's a new world, I think,
Yes.
right? But I think that, to your point, if you don't mind me expressing, I think
Yes.
that it also is like really common, right? Like when we first start treading into unknown territory, people are trying to find various modalities their way in to sort of like affect change within the nervous system. And so it's like so normal, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's just like how we then learn like this sounded like a great idea, but it doesn't have lasting effects, or like this is good for a purpose, but it's not good for an overall restoration process, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So I think that it's just a really natural part of the evolution of our understanding of the interface between us, our nervous system, our safety in the world. And it, it especially because it's like an ephemeral thing, right? It's not like we can go in and find our nervous system if we cut open the body, you know? It's like in
Right.
your cells in your body, it's in your fascia, it's in everything. It's an energetic auric field external to yourself. It's like, so it's very nebulous for people to feel like they can wrap their arms around it and like start to like really take charge and control of their own nervous system. So it's like a, it's something, it's a work in progress, that shouldn't be necessarily
Yeah.
undervalued or berated, or feeling like I'm not doing as good as I should, or I'm like lacking in this effort, because it isn't yet common for people to understand how to do that, and so grace and love to be given for all those who actually start to make the connection about how important it is. Like starting there is like, fucking, if half the world would do that, geez, man.
Right. Even just the awareness piece, like
Just the awareness.
just seeing like, oh, this is what that is. Because
Yeah,
honestly, when we can see that in ourselves, it's so much easier to spot in others. And then there's the compassion and the grace that we just naturally extend.
totally.
And
Yeah.
also, I just really appreciate you framing it that way because like my first book, I really had always just wanted to write my story up till then. God knows plenty's happened since then. But, um, basically my childhood story and then, reaching adulthood and thinking it had no impact on me, how wrong that was. But if I'm being like 100% honest, and I don't even know if I've even voiced this like on the show, but I'm embarrassed at the information that where I was at the time that I wrote that. I was feeling good though. I felt a semblance of control and, like for the first time and this limited baby information about my nervous system. But I have been really embarrassed. Like I don't even talk about the book and I was so proud of it. And you're right. Like for what the information I had at the time, that's
It's
beautiful.
beautiful. Like you were
Yes.
fucking leaps and bounds ahead of
Yeah.
all of your peers in your community, in even having the courage and the determination to actually put those words on paper and publish them to the world. Like that should be absolutely celebrated.
Yeah. Thank
For
you. Yeah, and
sure.
I'm definitely changing the way I feel about that because, like, it's
Please
fine that
do.
I've gotten more information and even better information, like, it
Yeah.
just was a stepping stone, and I don't need to, like, feel embarrassed about anything, so
Nope,
I
you
I
sure
I don't know,
don't.
I didn't even realize, like, that I was that embarrassed until we were having this conversation, but that's awesome, and you're right, and I do again, like we were saying, the awareness piece is so important because man, just seeing like you're not this thing, this is something you're experiencing. And we can just shed that label right away. Like you're not bad. There's this thing that's happening within you. So
Yeah,
what
and it doesn't
okay,
define you.
did you what was life like pre MS diagnosis?
Well, I've had MS for 20 years, and I've been on my own self-healing path and natural healing path with that for like 17 years before I got into the nervous system work. Um, but before I was diagnosed with MS, I was so
Quick ad break. If you're feeling stuck, disconnected, or like your spirit and mind aren't speaking the same language, Jen Taylor, LCSW, might be exactly who you're looking for. Jen is a spiritual psychotherapist who blends Reiki healing, spiritual psychotherapy, astrology, coaching, tarot, and oracle card readings to help you gain clarity, release blocks, and reconnect with your inner wisdom. Whether you're navigating emotional healing, spiritual growth, or a life transition, Jen offers intuitive guidance grounded in real therapeutic support. Learn more or book a session with Jen Taylor where healing meets insight. You can check the show notes for how to get in touch with her.
long ago. I had 2 young children. My daughter was like 3, my son was 5.
Oh, yeah.
And, I was a busy young mom, you know,
Yeah.
trying to like make it all work. And my son was like in kindergarten and my daughter was in, just like the busy life that you have when you have 2 young toddlers.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to like feed them the right way and do all the perfect
All
mom
the
kind of
things,
things that were
yes.
all the things. And so, but my life looked very much like I had the blessing to be able to be an at-home mom during those years, those formative years, and so that was really great, except that in hindsight, it was actually not good for my nervous system. I had
Yeah, you were
worked
burning the candle at both
I
ends.
yeah, there was a whole lot about it that I was unprepared for. Um, but and talk about being like triggered all the time by your own children. But I look back
Mm-hmm.
at that time and I see like how my nervous system was so dysregulated. Even before then, I ran restaurants and I managed restaurants. I worked like 80 or 90 hours a
Oh,
week.
yeah.
And so I went from sorry, pardon me.
Bless you.
I went from like having that job then to like jumping into being a full-time mom, which I thought was going to be
Oh,
like such like a treat. And boy, well,
yeah. Yeah.
it sure wasn't. And so I took my dysregulated nervous system into my mothering of two babies, and it's a whole new world, right? When you have
Oh,
children
yeah.
and there's a first time mom and all of those things, and you're young. And so so I brought a lot of my own nervous system dysregulation into my early motherhood years, well, into all my years, so
Yeah.
into the
Yeah.
last 3 years. But um, but I feel like I definitely imprinted my erratic nervous system into my mothering, right? Because how it would be impossible not to, especially when you have
Yeah.
toddlers.
Yes.
So, and my son is very strong-willed, and he's my greatest teacher.
Oof.
And
Yeah. I resonate with that. Mm.
yeah, right. And I mean, both of my children are. So, but anyway, so that was who I was back then. That was me 20 years ago, trying to do all the right
Yeah.
things, just like every young woman, and loving her
Yes.
babies and trying to be a good mom and a good wife and do all the right things for the family. So I didn't look much different than anyone else.
Yeah. Well, and so I wonder, like, childhood and adolescence, was that, like, what people would call normal? Like, what or where did you have,
I
like, a
mean,
history of
maybe
trauma?
like in the 80s when my parents divorced and all that stuff, but it wasn't until I started doing this nervous system work that I recognized. And actually the truth is I call it nervous system work, but my first toe in the water of that was actually through psychedelic medicine. And and that's the thing that revealed to me how severely dysregulated I was, and how
Mhm.
but not just how dysregulated I was, but how unprocessed trauma from my childhood contributed to the dysregulation of my nervous system as an adult.
Yep.
And um and how I learned to thrive in a dysregulated state, um, from my early coping mechanisms.
Yep.
And then from those early coping mechanisms and thriving, then I created an identity of type A personality, go get 'em. I love stress. I can conquer anything. Like
Yes.
this doesn't affect
I work
me. And
better
then
under pressure.
I work better under pressure. All of those stories, which are not true.
Mhm. Mhm.
And because they're not true, because they're built on the back of fear and trauma, and they're a disordered way of making meaning from something traumatic from your childhood. And so we
Yes.
make meaning from it by by normalizing it and elevating it and creating this like idealized version of that by saying I thrive on chaos, you know. I I would, and then I became a chef and I had multiple restaurants. And I would say to people that the thing I loved about restaurants was that I loved imposing order on inherent chaos. Like I was trying to always redo my childhood
Yes.
through running
Yes.
more and more restaurants and having more and more employees and more menu changes and more
Yes.
events and all kinds of
Yes.
crazy things like that. You know what I mean? It was
Oh
like
my
kind of
gosh.
nutty.
Yes, it's so
Yes.
funny, the programming, the way it creates this story that we just expand on through adulthood. But you know
Yeah,
what? Like, and
right?
I'm gonna hurt someone's feelings when I say this, but this is why I fucking hate a bipolar diagnosis, because all that's happening is you've learned to thrive. I'm gonna put that in air quotes, people, in chaos. Your nervous system feels safe when everything's fucking burning down around you. So, that's what
Yeah.
it's come accustomed to. And
You're
then
right
the
at home.
natural thing that happens is you're going to burn out from that. Like your nervous system is going to be fried and need a break. And what's gonna happen? Chemical low. And then we call that what? The
Yeah, I call
depressing
that a
part
need
of it.
for like a prescription medication to
Right.
even you
And
out.
it's so
When it's like,
frustrating because ugh,
no.
yes, and I mean, I don't wanna knock the psychiatric community, it's just that I'm seeing way too much of things that's like, "Honey, there's a much easier solution to that, I promise." Because and this is why I'm saying it. Okay, this just came up for me, but I remember I don't know, it seems like we're about the same age, so I don't know if you remember Danielle Steele.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
I think she's
baby.
still around, but,
I read
like
all her books.
okay, yes, I did too. Do you
Yeah.
remember the one she wrote about her son?
Oh, yes, I do, but I don't remember that as much as like the steamy, soapy romance
Yeah.
novels.
Well, I only read a few of the other ones. My grandma was super into Danielle Steele.
My
But
mom
I
was too.
read that one and it really impacted me because he killed
Because her
himself.
son passed away, right?
Yeah, he killed himself. He was
Yeah,
bipolar.
that's what I thought. He committed suicide.
Yes, and he
Mhm.
she talked a lot about the journey of medication and specifically lithium and just it being almost an incurable disease. And that really stuck with me. I was terrified of it for myself, for others. And so I know the messaging around that diagnosis and I see it that and borderline personality disorder. I see those two. I see people clinging to those diagnoses for dear life as if it's some sort of I think that it makes them feel better to have some sort of label versus I'm just fundamentally at my core fucked up. I get that. But I feel like both of those diagnoses really do a disservice to people when they're just not educated enough on what's happening within them to create the mania, to create the lows. And so I feel like this is like really important to talk about that
Yeah, it
so
is really.
much can look, you know, really wonky externally when you've got an internal processor that's fried.
Yeah, it's the truth. And what's unfortunate too is that like the taking of SSRIs has become so normalized when we don't actually appreciate fully that the psychiatric community embraced this as a modality because talk therapy wasn't really getting the results that were necessary, right? Because people could talk about their shit all day long and never improve, right? It's just a
Feel
way
worse
to
even.
stay
Yeah.
stuck in the grindstone of your
Yes.
own mental processing. And it's like maybe it's good in some ways to have somebody like help connect certain dots for you and create like a space of safety for you to share the things that you're struggling with. But putting that aside, those benefits aside, I think that by and large, it's been shown that talk therapy does not get you where you need to go. And you and I
Mhm.
probably both know that's because you need to go from your head into your body. And because that's where all the shit is. you
Yeah.
know, it's all stuck
Yes.
there. It's not in your head. Your head is a way to keep yourself looping and not really empowered
Yes.
you
Yes. Oh
in
my
the
god,
same
the
way
narratives
doing this
that your
other work
lion ass
does.
brain will tell you just to keep you safe and
Yeah,
stuck.
of
I
course.
mean, and that's the thing. Once I realized oh, it's this that's just fucking dysregulating me all the time because I'm stuck in some overthinking loop to give myself some false sense of control. Damn, dude, just taking the next.
Today, I want to share a book series that truly meets you where you are. Letters to Myself by Jen Taylor, LCSW, is a powerful collection written by a New York based spiritual psychotherapist with over 23 years of experience. Each volume invites you to write your way through trauma, healing, and self compassion, from sexual assault and abuse to bullying and cult recovery. These aren't just books you read, they're books you work with. If you're ready to reflect, release, and reconnect with yourself, search Letters to Myself by Jen Taylor on Amazon today, and I will also have a link in the show notes.
Step of like, okay, how do I get out of my head and into my heart? Oh shit, that was so hard. I'm just a natural, like, oop, jump to your head, oop, jump to your head. And I'll notice now, like, I talked about this last week, how I like woke up one morning and decided to be really pissed at someone that I felt like wasn't supporting me. And I knew that wasn't real. I knew that. Like, that's not real because that person doesn't even mean that much to me. And it was the first thought I thought of when I woke up. So I was like, oh, Melissa, you have not been tending to your grief. So let's go figure out what this grief is actually trying to tell us instead of actually leaning into how pissed I feel right now. It's fake. It's just your brain saying something feels unsafe. And I know how to fix that, staying in your brain. So yeah, my brain was such a nasty place to be. I mean, it was a non-stop thought spiral. Either I was fighting with someone in my head or defending myself in my head or just hyper fixated on how somebody had wronged me. It was not nice. I was not nice to myself at all. But now that I don't do that, even just like my neck and shoulders and back are so much less tense because I was just fighting with people all the time.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So what are you seeing? No. What is the next step? Like how did you start to see the connection? Have you always been into holistic stuff like medicine, or was it just you had this
Yeah,
epiphany
I've
through?
definitely been in it for like over 20 years and have my degree in holistic nutrition and yeah, I definitely believe that that the body is a natural healing machine and it's the most divinely created, exquisitely crafted piece of workmanship that we've ever been able to come across. We've not even been
Yeah.
able to make computers or robots or anything external to us as like finely precise as the human body. So
Yeah.
I always had this deep belief in our innate ability to heal. Um, and then it was just always a journey to with whatever layer and whatever chapter of my healing path presented itself for me to go and do a deep dive on that. Like, oh, that's the thing that's wrong with me. Like, so I always believed that like MS was caused by a reason, and if I found that reason, then I could undo the MS. And I also didn't necessarily believe like, let's say, an autoimmune disease and MS where they believe that your immune system is like attacking your myelin sheath. Okay, so maybe it is, but why? And so I always just kept asking why about everything, and the why would lead me to deeper and deeper levels of like self-exploration and personal healing. But it's really funny because I didn't actually like this new way of going into the healing process, I believe is the way to heal everything. It doesn't matter whether you're seeing a therapist and you're on SSRIs or whether you have an autoimmune disease, or it actually doesn't matter what you have. This is the way in for everything. And I know that's a bold statement. But if you really think about how much of our illnesses, both mental illness, uh, and how about not even mental illness as in a diagnosis that would precipitate using like pharmaceutical, but how about just your unease with yourself, your
Mm-hmm.
dissatisfaction in life, your own emotional dysregulation that then
Mm-hmm.
leads to like high blood pressure or insomnia or digestive distress, right? Like so much of those things that we take for granted, like, oh, I'm not a good sleeper. And then you go and you get the Ambien, it can really be traced back to your dysregulated nervous system. And so you can't sleep well when you've got a dysregulated nervous system. Or like, oh, the doctor says high blood pressure is like perfectly normal as you age. Well, no, it's not.
Right.
But it's because you have stress in all these areas of your life that you're not connected to. And so, yes, food is a huge portion of that, but also there's a lot of people with a healthy diet who have a jacked up nervous system. I was one of them.
Mhm, mhm.
I was
Yeah, I
so
mean, you
busy
see that a
focusing
lot in
on
the
my
fitness
diet.
space, like the people who
Yeah,
are like doing the great fitness and they have all this good nutrition, but it's like, yeah, and they're also putting ungodly amount of stress on their body on top of
yes,
the emotional stress that they haven't learned to figure out. And
yeah,
that's so important because how many times have you heard
yeah,
people say like, "Oh, I need less stress, I need less stress," and then they just think that just means I need to care less when people are pissing me off, or I need to care less if there's like a kid screaming on the airplane. And it's like, that's so much bigger than that. Stress is not about you caring less. I mean, it can be that, trust, but like, that's such a small piece. Like, there's so much to do to heal all of that stress on your body. And it does not need to be like you fucking pounding away in the gym for hours.
well, and I think you bring up some really good point. And my basic premise with all of this work around the nervous system is that we, by and large, create a life in service of keeping our nervous system dysregulated all the time. And we
Mhm.
don't have any connection to that. So let's just say, like, on one extreme, you have somebody who's all about, like, I don't feel safe. I don't feel triggered. I feel triggered. Like, all of that, like, kind of nervous system sort of super sensitivity. And they're afraid of everything and they're triggered all the time. And, like, that is a different dynamic than the other extreme of the nervous system where people are like, oh, I have to go and do somatic experiencing, and I have to do vagus nerve reset, and I have to do breath work, and I have to do meditation, and all of these modalities to sort of like resculpt their nervous system. Not to say that those modalities, in and of themselves, are not beneficial to a certain extent, but both ends of those extremes are ignoring this idea that you can find safety from within, and you don't need an external modality actually to begin to have a different relationship with your nervous system. And to recognize that it is within your control to resculpt and restore your nervous system to its natural harmony. And when you do that, then all these other things happen. You aren't triggered anymore by the child who's screaming on the airplane, and you have much more space within yourself to allow yourself to go off the rails on something tragic that happens to you, like the passing of a child. And you can hold space for yourself and all that
Mhm.
you are without creating stories around what it is that you're actually processing. Because a lot of times we create these stories from the things that we're processing, and we identify as that is us, that
Yeah.
is me. I
Mhm.
am a depressed person. I am an anxious person, as
Yes.
opposed to being able to hold space for yourself to feel the anxiety without it determining your behavior, your personality, your values, without it determining anything about you.
Yeah.
It means
The
nothing about you.
self-trust. Yes.
It means nothing about you. It
Yeah.
means you are actually in a space where you're experiencing anxiety, and it's okay to do that. But it doesn't mean anything about who you are as a person. It's nothing whatsoever. It does the second you identify with it.
Yeah.
And then the second you create stories, belief structures, decisions, take action from that place of anxiety. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I do
So
wanna touch on what you said about the modalities.
mhm.
Um, so what are I like your feedback on this thought that I had when you said that. Um, do you feel there is a difference between I have a hygiene that these things doing these regularly feels yummy for me. I like to engage in these practices regularly versus you you know the type A regimented shit. Like of
In a world where judgment quietly shapes how we see ourselves, therapist and author Jen Taylor, LCSW, invites us into something gentler. With over 25 years as a New York based spiritual psychotherapist, Jen blends psychology, spirituality, and astrology to help women, teens, and LGBTQIA individuals find their way back to self worth. In Volume 7 of the Letters to Myself, Jen explores how self judgment becomes our harshest critic and how compassion can become our greatest healer. And for families navigating loss, her children's book, Melvin and His Magical Star, offers a tender story about grief, love, and the truth that love never disappears. Find hope, healing, and gentle guidance with Jen Taylor. I will have links for her in the show notes.
first I wake up and I do this for 27, not 28 or 26, but 27 minutes. And then I do this vagus nerve exercise. And if I didn't do that, I have heard people say shit like that. But
Yeah, me
is
too.
that kind of what you're saying? That there's a
I did
difference?
also.
Is there a difference between a hygiene practice that you appreciate as a human for intention versus believing that if you don't do those things, there is no way out for you? Is that your point, sort of?
It is sort of my point, and I love that you brought that up. I think the thing is ultimately, regardless of which camp you're in, for sure, if you're in the second camp, you're not regulated. Um, and but really, what I like to encourage people in my practice and in the technique is this idea that anything that you do that you are seeking external to you, whether it's breath work or vagus nerve reset or meditation or anything, whatever it is for you. If it's something that you're seeking and you're grasping and you're using that as a band-aid and believe that that's the thing that should like calm your nervous system and you rely upon that external modality and it's this mental thing, that is different than being in a regulated space all the time. You don't ever need anything external to you to get you there. And now, and then now, if you're in this regulated state, like let's say for me, I love my morning practice. My morning practice is my sacred time for myself. It's the thing that sets me for the day and centers me for all that I want to give to the world and give back to myself. And I don't feel complete without it. Now, is it something that I beat myself up about? Is it something that I create structures and rules around? Is it something that I feel like, oh God, I didn't get my meditation? No wonder I'm in a bad mood. No,
Yeah.
not at all. It's my gift to myself every day. It's how I fill myself up every day. It's not the thing I need to keep me regulated or else I'm screwed, you know? So I guess it's just a little bit different of a way of being and not something that you're chasing or seeking, not something that's used as an external band-aid to sort of bolster you for your ability to move throughout the day in a regulated way that makes you feel like, oh, I passed today. You know, I didn't piss anybody off.
Yeah.
I didn't piss myself off. I got like gold star. Do you know what I mean? And so it's a little bit different
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
so
I'm
far
seeing
as
the
like
difference
where
for
it's right
sure.
instead of where it's coming from. Where is that coming from? Is it coming from this mental construct or is it coming from a deep place within you and who you are? And
Yeah.
then you're inviting in these practices to support where you are, to add to who you are, and not to put a band aid on something that's not regulated to begin with.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So then
Hmm.
how are you proposing that people get to a regulated state
Yeah.
and stay regulated?
So yeah, so this is where we get a little radical.
I'm
I
here for it.
think, right? This is why we're both here. It's like I want to set aside this whole idea of like all the words around nervous system and all the
Mhm.
diagnoses and all the stories and all the traumas and all those things are important and they're a piece of the puzzle for sure. But
Yes.
like let's go somewhere super, super, super simple. I believe and I see within myself and all the people around me that we don't teach in our culture, we don't have an appreciation or an understanding of the importance and value in learning to hold an emotion, have emotional capacity.
Mhm.
We don't have emotional capacity. You think of it as a cup that's empty, and the capacity is like the amount of room you have in the cup before it overflows. So when you have no emotional capacity, your cup is already always full. So any little thing, it overflows and you are just undone. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what it is. For every person, it's different, right?
Yeah.
And so, how can we build emotional capacity? Number one. And when we build emotional capacity, then we have the capacity to feel all of ourselves, every bit of us, because emotion is just energy in motion. It's the
Yeah.
energetic frequency that we feel and sense because we're energetic beings. And these energetic frequencies that we feel and then we hold on to it and we make it mean something about us,
Yeah.
as opposed to taking a different stance. And that is one of like full allowance. Like I'm going to allow myself to feel this way. There's nothing bad about it. Doesn't mean anything about me. It's just
Mhm.
how I am feeling. And we create space to allow ourselves to feel all that we are. And in that process, a whole bunch of amazing things happen because a lot of us are too much for ourselves. We don't feel safe within. We react so drastically, so immediately, and are
Mhm.
carried away by all of our emotions. I was definitely that person.
Me too.
So I speak from experience, you know? And I think like when I learned how to hold all that I am, you are not too much. When you can hold everything, then you learn to trust yourself. You learn to love yourself. You learn to believe in yourself. You learn to listen to your body. And you have different discernment. You have better judgment. Like all kinds of things come. And I think another thing as well, and I don't know if this resonates with you or maybe anybody who's listening, but like another thing that I didn't have an awareness of when I first started doing this work is I didn't have what I call now an emotional landscape. I didn't I went from like super chill, super cool to fucking pissed the fuck off. And I'm going to
Yeah.
chop off your head
Yeah.
in like seconds. And I
Yes.
could be fine, 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 fine. For so long, everybody thought I was fine all the time until
Mhm.
I was. And then I
Yeah.
was on the warpath and everybody better back off. And then I had 3 restaurants. And so, like, go figure, and 75 employees. Like, what the hell? So,
Mhm.
and so it's just like, this is an example of not having an emotional landscape. That is no gradations between fine and off with your head. And we should be able to feel like this whole range of emotions. No, like that's anger, that's sadness, that's grief, that's like melancholy, that's tenderness,
Yes.
that's love,
Yes.
that's joy. Because not only can we not hold anger, but we also can't hold all the opposite emotions.
You're right.
Happiness and joy and desire and pleasure. Like how
Yes.
many women hold pleasure? We can't.
Mhm.
We feel bad for holding pleasure. We want to get through pleasure right away, and it can be any kind of pleasure.
Yep.
Anything that brings us pleasure. We have a disordered relationship with pleasure because we feel bad about it. And
Yeah. Or
so,
even
it-
joy for women
joy,
seems
yeah,
tough.
happiness,
Yeah.
joy, pleasure, all of those positive emotions. We have the same disordered relationship with the positive emotions as we do with the negative emotions.
Yeah.
And so when we can begin to hold space for ourselves and start, like I have a practice to start, where you start for 30 seconds at a time whenever you feel this moment coming upon you. You're in the grocery store and you're like reaching for the pint of ice cream that you know you shouldn't. or whatever it is. You're in the checkout line at the grocery store. You're picking your kids up from school and someone cuts you off. Like it doesn't matter what it is. Everybody is different. And but just holding that space for yourself for like 30 seconds and allowing yourself to just feel that emotion without
Mhm.
labeling it, without telling a story about it, without feeling bad about it, ruminating, all the things that we do. Just just stop. And you can say to yourself during that time, there's nothing to fix. It's okay. There's nothing to
Yeah.
fix. It's okay that you want to get that ice cream. Doesn't mean anything about you. Doesn't mean you should go on a diet. It doesn't mean that you're impulsive. No, just sit there for 30 seconds and hold that thought of like, it's okay to just want the ice cream. There's nothing to
Mhm.
fix. It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay.
I can see where sometimes fear will still be the captain for me on
Well,
certain emotions. Like if
mhm.
I'm like just yesterday, I was triggered from like my betrayal wound for something really fucking stupid. And I could acknowledge, like, this has come up 1,000 times. This is how I've dealt with it in the past. But today, for whatever reason, it's pissing me the fuck off. Like, I feel really hurt by this, you know? And finally, kind of where I got to after the whole day was spent touching on this at some point all throughout the day, was, yeah, that really hurts my feelings, and I think I'm just gonna let it. Like, I'm tired of fucking analyzing it. I'm tired of trying to make it go away. It hurt my feelings, and I'm gonna allow it. But it did take all fucking day
Yes.
to get there. But I think it's the fear
Sometimes it
that
does.
I'm too much and not enough. Because that not enough part comes in just as much. That's where the lack of self-trust really comes in for me, is like, I am too much, but I'm also not enough. So, like, and I'm so glad to be so acutely aware of that when it comes up now. But that's definitely what was triggered yesterday. And so I had to, play around with it before I finally settled on. I had to, I had to like develop this mantra for myself where it's like, you're human first here on this plane. Humanity is first, so you're allowed, because I can get a little hard on myself about, like, if I was more evolved, then this wouldn't bother me. I had to, like, finally set some standards for myself that said, if you say that to yourself again, you're getting a whooping, because you're allowed to have human ass feelings no matter how evolved or enlightened you become. But that's interesting that that's what we were talking about, because finally, literally, I was able to go to sleep last night being like, "Okay, well, maybe that exact scenario is gonna hurt your feelings 10 out of 10 times for the rest of your life, and, like, let's stop trying to fix it."
Yeah, and I love that because, this isn't about like you not feeling things. This is about you trusting yourself to feel everything
Mhm.
and being able to hold space for all that you are without it meaning anything about you. And
Yes, the
so as you
judgment that
start
we
to be able
impose
to
on
do,
ourselves.
yeah, and as you're able to do these little things, then you're actually able to hold space for your grief around the big shit,
Mhm.
right? Like it doesn't mean that I am like a robot and I don't have emotions anymore. I have them
Yeah.
just as much as everybody else.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the big stuff, I am not as, like, overwhelmed by them, and the
Mhm.
little stuff doesn't bother me at all anymore. Actually, I have enough energy for the big stuff, and enough of a practice to hold space for myself to trust that today's just a day that I feel in a funk, man, and it's okay. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything about me. Today, I am just bummed. I'm sad.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you're a bummed and sad person. It just means today you are, and that's okay.
Yes, I had to kinda have that talk with myself because we're only about 6 weeks into this journey, and last week was my first really bad week. I was also on my period, so I know that that contributed, but I just couldn't shake any of it last week. Like, I of course,
I love these conversations, and they help me so much because I just am in the energy that I love and it lights me up. So like I had great moments during last week, but the heaviness was just heavier, and there was just a lot. It just felt fucking terrible last week for the first time, truly. Like obviously, and now I feel like I have to defend myself and I don't, but obviously, it's terrible every fucking moment of the day, but it's not like it was last week. Like last week I was just having a really hard time wanting to function, and was just having very dark thoughts, like to where it was like, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna live the rest of my life like this. And so it was a bad week. But finally, by the end of it, I think, without really even being able to name it, I think where I got, and probably why I'm feeling better, was arriving at that trust in myself where it was like, Melissa, this isn't going to be your last bad week. And how can you have a bad week without being so afraid of it? Because I could definitely feel like this is scaring me because what if I never feel better? What if this means something about me and my healing and like makes like delegitimizes me in some way? Like there was a lot of fear, a lot of different types of fear, but yeah, I think probably one of the things that really helped was finally getting to that place of trust where it was like, this is your new normal, and we don't know when those really bad moments are coming. So maybe we don't have to like judge them so harshly.
I love everything that you said. You have so much wisdom and truth in everything that you said. One of the things that I think that we don't recognize as well is that, like, our nervous system wants to release and it doesn't want to hold on to things. We're the
Mhm.
ones that hold on to the things. Our nervous system doesn't authentically want that. And our nervous system is wound like a coil.
Mm.
And you think about a dog that has had a trauma or had a scare or something like that and how they shake. And then they just literally shake off whatever, and then they move on through their day. We don't do that. We suppress, we judge, we have all kinds of bypassing mechanisms and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But what I was coming through for me as you were sharing your story about last week is like this understanding for people that when you're in this state of emotional experiencing, your nervous system is actually releasing everything that it's holding. And the way that you held space for yourself to just allow yourself, even though it was fearful, even though it was a struggle, even though it felt terrible, all of that, it was your nervous system releasing and letting go of things that it was holding on to as you needed to process that. And you were
Mm.
able to hold space for yourself all week long. And now it didn't mean that you didn't tell stories and you didn't like weren't frustrated, you weren't fearful, like all those things were real too, right? But then by the end of the week, you had kind of cleared this from your energy body and you were in a place of like submission, acceptance, compassion, self-compassion, self-acceptance for like, it's okay. I did it. I made it through. It doesn't mean anything about me. It just was a tough week.
Yeah.
And so like that is so advanced actually. And it's so beautiful because you did it without really even like you're super aware, and so but I just think for people who are listening to understand that sometimes when we're experiencing these emotions, they are releasing from our system. Because, like, when you start doing this work and building emotional capacity, that's how you start releasing these traumas from your body. Because your body wants to release these traumas, your nervous system wants to release these traumas, but if the body doesn't feel safe to experience them as they arise, then it's harder for that to happen.
Mhm.
And so when you learn to hold space for yourself for this small amount of time and then gradually increasing in the length of time that you're able to hold an emotional state, then what happens is your nervous system will start to expel everything that doesn't serve it anymore. And we just need to trust ourselves enough and trust our body and trust the process that when this happens, it's okay. It doesn't mean anything bad about you. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's the best thing because that's
Yeah.
better than you denying it, telling a story about it, pushing it down, moving through it, bypassing it, taking it out on other people. I mean, and maybe you did do that as well because that's also really natural. But does that make sense? Like this, like
Yeah.
just a tiny shift in the purpose and the function of that experience that you had all last week. Like maybe it was your nervous system and all of its divine wisdom releasing all that you're holding right now because you are holding a lot.
Yeah.
And it was a
Well, and
process of
especially
cleansing.
because I had gone the whole week pretty much without having a real cry too, which was the also the first week like that too. Like my body has wanted to cry a lot, so it did. But
Course.
during that last week I really didn't, and then I did. And I think it was all finding homeostasis. Like, I think that's what my nervous system was doing. And then the
Yeah.
cry
Yes.
came and it was like, okay. Like it felt safe
Yes.
enough through after it did its little
Yes.
hijinks of like natural
Yeah.
processing. Then it said, okay,
Yeah.
and now we can cry and finish the release. And damn, I felt so good after that. I was like, thank you, God. I
I mean,
just wanted to cry. Shit.
yeah, but what
Yeah.
you just
That makes
described
me
is a
feel
beautiful
better.
journey that you allowed yourself to just be on because you were already on the journey. It didn't matter what you thought of it mentally. Your nervous
Right.
system was already on a journey, and you had to surf the waves of that whole experience to finally come at the end of the week to the big cry, the big release, the big compassion, understanding, acceptance, and then suddenly you feel so much better.
Yeah. So much better. It was wild, actually. Like, um,
Yeah.
I built more trust in myself through that too, because
See?
then when it was over, it was like, okay, you did great, and now you know that shit gonna happen, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
fine when it does. Like, it's not the end of the world when you have a
Yeah.
bad week. It was just my first bad full week. Like the whole fucking week sucked ass, and so like,
Yeah.
I was nervous about it. I was like, "Oh, great. Is this what the fuck? Was I just in denial before? What is this?" Like, I didn't feel like I was, you know? Like, I felt like I was really present and really grounded. And so then all of a sudden to be feeling so awful, I was like, "Oh, good. Well, okay, we tripped a wire somewhere, guys." But then just seeing like, oh, okay, that happened, and we moved through it. Great, like it's done now. The next time it comes, we'll know that it there will be an end to it at some point. It's a we'll just ride the fucking wave.
Yeah, ride the wave. And yeah, I mean, what you said was just like your body and your or nervous system acting in all of its wisdom because you were in a place of great homeostasis and feeling really good. And then this came up because your energy body needed to clear it and
Mhm.
wanted to and did it without your permission or approval because otherwise, would you have given it permission?
Hell no! I'd have been like, wait, what? No, we're better than this.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
let's judge the
Yeah,
shit out of this process, please. I'm so good at
yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's why I like to use the term full allowance, because to cultivate a place within of full allowance for all that you are, for all of it, is like so huge. For me, it was like the buzzword of like, oh, just like made me just like a warm blanket, like just like, oh, I'm allowed to feel this way. I'm allowed to be like this. It's full allowance for all of it. I don't have to hide this or be ashamed of this or
Yeah.
feel guilty about this. I just know it's full allowance for everything that is
Yeah, and
and trusting it's
you know how you
that's
get this
okay.
opportunity to get like a deeper understanding of each of your learnings? That's where
Yeah.
I'm at with allowance right now because I learned about a year ago resistance keeps us stuck. I got it's a lot of beautiful lessons in that. And now allowing has been a theme for the last 3 weeks that I've been talking about, experiencing, just learning a deeper understanding of it. And so I'm really grateful for that because this is just that next level of understanding around this. And it's nice too to see where I was still
imposing judgment and meaning in situations, um, and rushing to fix something that wasn't broken to begin with.
I love that. Rushing to fix something that wasn't broken to begin with, because what if everything that you're experiencing and giving yourself allowance for is the fixing process itself?
Yeah. Yep. And it makes
It's your
sense
body
why some of
fixing.
my attempts didn't work, because it was
See?
counterintuitive to what was naturally
And
occurring.
where do those fixes come from within you? Do they come from your mind, this mental idea, I have to fix that? There's nothing to fix.
Mhm.
There's nothing to fix. Your body knows what to do. It's just like, when we had children, right? When we had babies, do you remember how much? I don't know if you experienced this, but if your birth story was like this, but mine sure was. Obviously there's a place for birth plans, and every mother wants to like create some control around the birth experience, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's beautiful. But also, your body's going to do what your body's going to do. And it doesn't matter in your mind. You're freaking out. Am I effacing? Am I dilating? Am I contracting? Am I in labor? Did I pass the mucus plug? Like, what am I doing?
Yes.
Ah! And you're just like, do I go to the hospital now? What's, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're like bouncing all over the place, and
Yes.
calling your doctor, going to the doctor, take me to pack my bag, and all these things, right? Your mental space is like all over the place, but your body is doing what your body knows how to do. When it's done, you're designed for this, you're created for this.
Mhm.
Your body knows exactly what to do, but we have this huge disconnect between what our body is already doing out of its own wisdom and our brain, which is like trying to make meaning and second guess and fix what's wrong with me.
Feel in
There's nothing to
control.
fix.
Yes.
You're having a
Yes.
baby.
Yeah. Oh my god, I was such a spaz about it too. Like, I remember with the first one, going to, the labor portion of the what to expect when you're expecting every
Yeah.
day. Every day I'd be
Yeah,
like,
right.
"Okay, so it said," and I know what it said because I just read it yesterday, maybe even this morning, and I'm gonna
And
read
there's
it
gonna
again,
be
but
another
it
bit
just
in
felt
there.
so comforting. Now I, like,
Yeah.
understand my nervous system was just seeking some sort of validation and control, but at the time, I was just like, "Tell me again. Tell me again how it's all okay. This is normal and everything's fine."
Yeah, right? So our we can hold our nervous system in the same way. And I think that this is a nice segue, because like I tried to teach people that, like, what if we began to look at our nervous system like a newborn infant? And do you remember when you first brought your babies home and you're just like staring at them with wonder and awe and love? And you're like, I have no idea what that cry means. I have no idea
Yep,
what you want. I have no idea what you're saying to me.
yep,
But maybe you were frustrated, but at the same time, you're full of just curiosity and love and wonder and like, okay, well, let's try this. Okay, well, then let's try that. And just like, oh, okay, so that's what that means. Okay, note to self, that's what that means. And and then slowly over time, like the dialogue begins, even though they're just this bundle of like baby, and you're just trying to fix and figure out and manage and all that, and none of that really matters, because in the end you create your own dialogue of trust, that baby trusts you, you trust it, like, oh, that's what that means. And when you're starting to work with your nervous system in that way, it's the exact same relationship.
yeah.
Holding your nervous system with awe, with wonder, with curiosity, with love, with compassion, with trust, with belief
Tenderness.
and tenderness. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's how our nervous system wants to heal, right? Like, you can't like take a baby and force them on a feeding schedule. I mean, heavens, there's a lot of moms who try, and
They sure
it doesn't
try.
always work out so well. Um, and there's a lot of parenting that we impose this mental idea of like, you have to eat this, you have to sleep like this, you have to nurse like that, you have to, right?
Yes.
And actually, none of that really matters. It's really the our organic dynamic relationship with you and a new human that is unfolding.
Yeah.
And our creating this like idea that the nervous system wants love, tenderness, acceptance. Um, it wants to be fully seen. It wants full allowance. for its fullest expression. It doesn't
Yes.
want these, like, strictures and tightness, you know what I mean? It just
Micromanagement.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really just doesn't, and what if we created a different relationship with how our nervous system is expressing itself and treat it like full of love and compassion and tenderness and allowance and safety and love and acceptance, like, what if we did that?
Yes.
How would that
Yes.
change everything for us? You know?
Yeah,
And,
it's much less a problem to be solved and more of a when I receive this communication, this is how I respond.
yep, yep,
Yeah, I love that. And
yeah, and that creates
that really
so
is
much, like,
centered and rooted in
spaciousness.
love.
Mhm. Yeah, it really is. And it creates so much more spaciousness within your system. Because like we create these like ideas like we categorize things and want to intellectualize things or analyze them and that's fine. That's what our thinking mind does. But that's not what your nervous system does. They're
Right.
just a storehouse for every experience that you've ever had in your entire life and probably ancestrally too, right? These things get
Mhm.
passed down through the cells of our mother's bodies into our own.
Yes.
And so it's just like if we just trust that the nervous system is a system that has its own divine intelligence and innate intelligence, and we are able to hold space for all of that to just actually express itself in the way it does. It's like we don't ever like think about like we don't I mean, I guess there are people who like judge their heart or judge their lungs. Like I don't like how I breathe or I don't like how I digest food or I judge my stomach for,
Yeah.
you know, how it digests food. Like, yeah, for sure, we have a lot of negative self-talk around parts of our body that we do understand,
Mhm.
um, and wanna, like, override the wisdom of your body when it comes to, like, birthing.
Oh my god,
And it's
it's
like
so true. How many natural
right?
processes are we talking shit to ourselves about, truly?
Yeah.
So
Instead of
funny.
just allowing our body to just be our body and creating a different relationship with how that all unfolds, and how much liberation does that create?
Yes.
And also
Yeah.
not just liberation, but, like, thinking about the energy that we put into things that don't serve us. And
Yes.
then if you have extra
Yes.
energy to spare because you trust that this is a natural happening in your nervous system, then you can take all that energy that you put into the stories, into the decisions, into all those other sub things, and you can put that energy into something that really matters.
Mhm.
And so it's just very interesting when you start to look at it from these other dynamics, but also recognize that we have absolute utter control.
Yes. That feels so light and soft, you
Yes.
know? Like, just to even think about
Yes.
it, just feels good
Oh,
and not
your nervous system is like,
there's no
thank you.
task list involved in that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to go
Yeah.
make a mental note of the next time
No,
this happens, do this, and then feel all
please
contracted and
don't.
braced around it, you know?
Yeah, please don't.
I love
Make the
that.
mental note to love yourself and trust yourself.
Yes, it's that self-trust piece. Like
Mm,
I guess that's really what's awakening in me recently is just more trust. I think maybe even this loss is the first time I've needed to see the trust that I've built in myself.
maybe.
And
Maybe.
so yeah, it's just a new little
Yeah.
thing. So,
Well, and I love that you're open to the dialogue and you're open to being like, "Oh, I thought it meant this, but actually now in hindsight, I think it meant this." And,
yeah.
like, that's really beautiful too. A lot of people don't actually hold space for themselves like that and, like, allow it to be an evolution and create new meaning.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I mean, I'm grateful to my belief system because that is something that really helps me. But also I'm really determined like the one thing that really like I'm motivated to continue on the journey I was on before this even happened is like, well, I'm not
gonna experience this level of pain for no fucking reason. You know, like, I mean that in two ways. One, I believe that there is divine, reasons around this passing, but also I believe, like, I do have two choices: to create meaning from this, or however you want to phrase that, and move forward, um, defining this how I choose to, and getting to use this pain however I choose to, or take 1,000 steps back and die inside, even if I don't die on the outside, you know? And so if I'm going to like have the pain, no matter what, I would rather it be, I would rather create beauty from that than to sit like in that profound darkness. I don't want it to be for no reason. I don't want him to not be on this earth for no reason. So I get to create the reason, I get to go do whatever I want with this. So it's important to me, but also, again, my belief system really helps me, because if I did not fucking believe that I am a part of a divine plan in this universe, it would drive me to the brink of insanity. But I do lean into that, and it does help.
Wow, what you said, I loved what you said. It was so beautiful because, like, yeah, I've experienced for myself a lot of very dark places and lots and lots and lots of grief and lots of lots of challenges and difficulties. And I've come to determine for myself, I really believe grief is a portal for growth.
Mhm.
And a lot of people feel like vindictive about the grief and
Yeah.
angry about grief and harbor grief in a different way. And I had to learn to look at it as a gift. Like,
Yeah.
I was gonna grow through my grief. I was gonna make meaning from my grief.
Mhm.
I believe that I had to experience the grief for a reason, just like you. And I also believe, like, we're all here to heal. And we
Yes.
came to this earth plane to heal a whole bunch of different things and experience healing on a number of different levels, and healing a heartbreak, and healing
Yeah.
all kinds of things. And we're not just healing from a cut or a bruise or a disease or an illness. We're healing on all kinds of different levels. And
Mhm.
what if that's love and compassion and like a divine message for our evolution, if we can lean into the growth opportunities that come through the portal of grief.
Right. And I don't I've had a sometimes I'm fucking over it, if I'm being honest, but
For
it
sure.
it does help me to believe that I chose this godforsaken experience. But grief and loss has been a major theme in my life too. So,
Yeah.
uh I can pinpoint these really pivotal moments through each loss that I've experienced, where I can look back now and go, "Oh, this is when that started. And then I took this turn there," and understand how it all got me right where I am right now. Like, how I can just forgive all of these things that I just didn't know I was doing, and that it was purposeful and part of this. Like, I had to do those things to then learn this. Um,
Yeah.
so I know for me, it really helps that I don't have like the traditional belief system that I was raised with, because I in those previous losses I really felt like God was doing something to me, and I just didn't understand. And now in my beliefs that I chose this experience and whatever, I'm like, okay, well, then fine. I don't want it to be for nothing, and I have a fucking life I'm trying to learn shit from, so I gotta do it. I'm just gonna keep doing it. But
Yeah.
leaning into my humanity at the same time and saying, "Hey, I feel bitchy today, so let's be bitchy today."
Yeah, I feel
You know
bitchy
what I
today.
mean?
Well, but I love all that too, because I feel like I've had to learn that, like, grief is a spiral, right? It's not like this linear path from, like, being in a place of grief to being in a place of recovery. That
Right.
I feel like I go round and around, and then I go back sometimes to the places that I used to be. And I used to be like, "Oh my god, I'm here again." Like, I thought I healed that. I thought I was done
Yes.
with that, right?
Yes.
But then I had started to recognize every time I did that spiral and I'd be back in that place again, I was different back in that place again. I
Yes.
had grown in that place. I was like, "Oh, last time I was here, I actually hated myself. or the time before that, I didn't even know it, or whatever. Like I was able to see my
Yes.
evolution and my progression every time I was back in that place of hate and or in that place of pain or grief or that wound. And that wound would be there, and I'd be like, oh my God, I thought I was done with this. And then it was like, no, it's a spiral, and you're different. I've evolved. Even in
Yes.
the face of that wound, I'm a different person looking at that wound again than I was when I was in the same wound seat a year ago or 6 months ago or last week or yesterday, you know?
Yes. Yeah, and I've got the chills because I almost think like that's the point is that we get
Yes,
to re-experience it, to feel that
yeah.
gratitude for ourselves, to say, hey, here's a little checkpoint.
Hey,
Do you see?
look at
Do
how
you
much
see the
I've
difference?
grown.
Yes, yes. Because
Yeah.
every time I get a deeper understanding of something, I'm like, damn, good job. You know? Like if my whole fucking life is going to be this type of shit, and guess what? So far it has been, so great, excellent. I love getting the opportunity to be like, you're doing the damn thing, sis. Look at you. Like,
You're
hey,
doing it.
you know? Look,
Yes.
your fucking soul's gonna be so fucking like your higher self right now is cheering you on so big. You're doing
Yes.
so good. Shit,
Yes.
don't even play. I have those conversations with myself a lot because I'm like, okay, the whole killer be killed degree situation. We're killing it. We're killing it right now, girl. Let's do it. Let's do it. You're doing good, sweetie.
You're doing good, sweetie. Yes.
Okay, I've kept you way too long. I would love to have you back. I
Girl,
appreciate
every
you.
time. I love talking to you. You're fun as shit.
Okay, great. Good. I'll send you the link again in case you because I've heard that you can't go back through the original link to schedule again. So I'll
Oh,
I'll
okay.
email you the link.
Yeah, email me
Come
when
back
you'd like me to come
anytime.
back on.
Seriously. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd love to have you.
anytime you have like something specific to talk about or nothing specific, like we can just riff on this idea. But I do think it's really powerful, like just our conversation insofar as like really sharing with people a different dynamic as it relates to your nervous system. And like there's so many things that we talked about that don't have to do with modalities and also don't have to
Hmm.
do with like living in the muck. It's more of an empowerment and then what happens when you take your power back and you recognize it is within your control. You don't need to seek all these outside modalities. Now, working with someone like me, I'm not suggesting that you don't work with me. But
Right.
it would be a different container for a different purpose. But by and large, as we're talking to the audience and having people create a different relationship with themselves and understand how important it is and why it's worth their time.
Yes, and just giving them a new vocabulary, I think, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, tell us
for
where we
sure.
can find you. I'll make sure to include your links in the show notes, but go ahead and say it out loud
Sure.
too.
Yeah, my website, christineruch.com. And you can book a call with me on there and we can talk all kinds of things like you and I just talked about, all sorts of interesting nervous system things and how it might relate to your chronic illness that you're looking to have more guidance in recovering from. And I also have a Substack where I write a lot about the healing process and all the different ways that we heal and the ways that we can support our healing process. And yeah, or you can email me.
All right. Well, I love that. Thank you. I mean it. This was such a beautiful conversation. I've had such a good time.
Hey, yeah, me too. Thank you, Melissa.
Okay, I'm going to push stop if you'll hang out for 1 sec.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to Emotionally Unavailable. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share. Emotionally Unavailable. All right, that's it from me. So make sure that you check out the show notes for links. And until next time, let's all just keep swimming.
INDEPE and cut.